Okay, I'm really excited. This is Mike Long. I am here with Armando. And Armando, the last time we heard from you, you had joined OMG a little while back, and uh, right away you were racking up, deals right and left. I think the first earnings report we got from you was in the $12,000 range. And then you and I sat down. One of the things that you do that's really smart is you have web design, and you're very competent at it as a part of your bag of tricks, as a part of your arsenal for money getting with clients. And I know you've been really busy. You can catch me up to date if you want to, but you and I actually sat down, Armando, just like so many OMGers, and not just grateful, but incredibly generous. Armando actually already sat down with me and recorded this video before, but it wound up, we had some audio problems with it, recording on my end. So now I'm re-recording it. Armando's generously agreed to join us again. And so I'm here, and he's going to hopefully do a site reveal for us, show us kind of a before and after. Hopefully that's before and after is still there, still available. Actually, we could probably find it in Wayback Machine even if you've implemented it. Kind of a reveal of a site that he's done a redesign on. Talk us through the pricing on that, and how Armando uses Theme Forest to really accelerate really terrific looking web design. So did I pretty much catch things up to speed?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I do.
All right, great. So I pulled up, hopefully you can see my screen now. I realized I hadn't shown my screen until now, but I've got Theme Forest up, and I'll actually pull up Facebook really quick, and I'll pull up Armando really fast here, so you can see he's a good-looking guy with a equally handsome son. And so let's get into this. So Armando, you're not just commanding big SEO deals. You're also using web design not just to boost your bottom line, but also as a way of attracting potential clients that you could then do SEO for.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, web design is sort of a big portion of it all, and a few other things. SEO is one piece, web design is another, but when all those things work together, it's really sort of limitless. Yeah,
and also you can attract an SEO customer and wind up doing a redesign. I've got a plastic surgeon who's interested in working with us, but he kind of wants the web design, a web redesign, to be tied to doing the SEO. And so if I don't have that web design component, I'm kind of locked out of the deal. Whereas if I do have the web design component, not only can I step into that deal, but really increase the bottom line for me. And oftentimes, Armando, you're able to, well, can we do that reveal, that before and after reveal that we did before? Can I still show that to people?
Yeah, go ahead and show that. The site's already gone live, but we can probably find it back in the
Wayback Machine. That's kind of what I figured. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to try to pin Wayback. And this was really cool because Armando actually did a recording with me for this. Wayback Machine. Did a recording where he actually showed this while it was in progress, and now it's actually already been implemented. So what's the website? And I'll type it into Wayback Machine.
It's mensclinicsofamerica.com.
Men's Clinic?
With an S. Clinicsofamerica.com.
Okay. And we'll go to browse the history here. All right, and we've got them from early 2014, so this should probably be the same page. Got a snapshot from January 7th, so let's pull this up. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Just taking a few seconds here, but yep. All right, so this is what the website used to look like. Obviously, this is the Wayback Machine interface up here, so this top bar is not a part of what it looked like, but it pretty much looked otherwise just like this. And now if we go to the website, let's see what the after looks like. And this is a client. How much was the redesign for this website?
The redesign, this one was, I can't remember. I think it was 5,800. It was in that range because there's a couple other things did, but around that range, around that, $5,000 to $6,000.
$5,000 to $6,000 to redesign the website, and then how much did it cost you to implement this redesign?
If I had to put everything together, maybe $600 to $1,000.
$600 to $1,000. So we're talking about a substantial profit in the $5,000 profit range.
Yes,
All right,
exactly.
definitely nothing to sneeze at. So the way you did this, you walked me through this before, so I know how to navigate it very well. You went to ThemeForce. Now you happen to have a full-time, is it Filipino designer?
Yes, yes.
But this is something that you could do without a Filipino designer, and I've got Elance pulled up as well. So you went to website templates to themeforest.com, and what did we type in? Like doctors? Is that what we typed in?
Yeah, I think we typed in healthcare or clinics or sites or something like that. We can
That's
type
right, healthcare.
healthcare.
So what you did was you went here, you typed in healthcare, and I think, which one was it? Was it this one here? Soul
Yeah,
Medic?
one right there. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So what Armando's doing is he's going and typing in a keyword, and he's going to pull up two or three, probably three WordPress themes. Make sure they're WordPress so we can work in them pretty easily. So this is a WordPress theme. Beauty Salon here is a WordPress theme. Let's see, this care one looks pretty nice. It's one. Clinico is not WordPress. Dream Spot is WordPress, but that might not be good for a physician. Let's see. Medicure is not WordPress.
And you can filter, if you go up, Mike, you can filter by just WordPress themes.
Oh, we can. So let's just do
So,
that.
yeah, if you scroll up to the right hand side where that box is, you can see maybe
I see it right here,
you can see
WordPress.
WordPress.
Boom.
Yeah.
So great. So these are all the WordPress themes right here. So that'll narrow things down. So we might pick Soul Medic, we might pick Care Plus, and then we might pick Heal is a pretty nice looking one. Also Medicals Plus is a pretty nice looking one. So there's a few nice looking ones. And what you're doing here is you're going to click in on this Soul Medic. This is the one that the client decided upon. And I'm walking through this pretty quickly, but Armando already showed me this, so that's the reason I'm able to go through this so quickly. Now, what you're able to do is click it on this live preview button that's right here. I'll zoom in a little bit, but like right below the side is a live preview. And at the top, we have the option to close out this purchase now screen. So we close that out. And by closing that out, what that's going to give us is it's going to give us a preview URL that's right up here. We can copy and paste this preview theme, and we can send this to the client. And the client, in some number, like 9 out of 10 or 19 out of 20 or 9 out of 100 cases, will not be able to realize that this is a template site. And even if they do realize it, we're still going to implement it for them, which they're not going to have the skills to do. Is that correct, Armando?
That's correct. Yeah. So the process of picking a theme actually starts with after you meet the client and you what their colors are, what their vision is, and what sort of style and feel they're looking for. Normally, I have them give me names and websites of competitors and the items that they like, and so then I go in there and scout something that is in that ballpark, and I take 3 or 4 options and email them to them and say, hey, these are the 3 or 4 options that we sort of came up with.
Yeah.
Let me know which one of these works.
Great. So this is one option here. It's a great looking option, and we pointed out in Theme Forest that we could have gone back and we could have selected, again, Care Plus might have been another option we might have selected, and we also might have selected Heal. But anyway, so those are some options. Then we selected the live preview. We closed out the top box, and then we're able to copy and paste this link right here and offer it to the client as an option. And remember, we also don't even have to send them this WP web design themes as a link. We can make it a hyperlink, right? Like we can we can make it say like click through here or something like that in our email to them, as a part of the proposal. So anyways, you'd send this to them and they look it over. So let's say they select this theme. How did you turn this website into this beautiful looking website that they have right here that you finally implemented for them?
So the content is pretty much all the same unless they want new content written, and in that case, we agree on certain things. So
right, and when you mean the content, this is the same content here. This is from the Wayback Machine that wound up going onto this website. For example, right here it says at Men's Clinic of America, this is more than just a statement. That's the exact same content as right here. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay, great.
that's correct. So the process of getting it all together is once they decide on the theme, before we even do any sort of work, I take a PowerPoint presentation or a keynote that's just a blank slide, and I go out on there and I sort of create similar to like a wireframe map, and I put little boxes and they say home, and this is our locations, and where each element is going to be on the home page, like which menu items are going to be present. And then if there's a drop down, I put an arrow with another one and what that drop down is going to be and the name of it all. So it's sort of a
you kind of diagram it, but in very simple form. You might even use something like Snagit to do that.
Yeah, I use a combination. Actually, I use a combination of Snagit and just PowerPoint, just to sort of give them an outline of where the content and the elements are going to go.
Okay, and let me show people what that might look like really quickly. I'm going to pull up Snagit right here. You'll see Britney Spears seating chart. I was actually, speaking of drawing maps up, I was drawing Onyx Singal a map up of what seats to buy for us, because I got him to promise live on a webinar that he would get us Britney Spears VIP tickets. But it's kind of funny for me to point this out, because my point in saying this, I showed this to my wife last night. She laughed. She's like, oh, it's just like OMG. But this is really the way that I think, right? In this kind of diagramming, like I took a screen capture, made it look a little bit nice by giving it edges, shadow, and perspective with this like a little rippy look. And then I put this circle and this arrow and highlighting, because I want them to know these are the seats, this is the price, here's where to go to buy the ticket. And that's kind of similar to what you're doing, Armando, is you're really diagramming things for your client here so there's no confusion about what's going on.
Exactly.
Okay, so what we might do is we might say, we might do it in boxes here. So we might make a box here, and a box here, and a box here. Do it like this. And then we have an arrow drawing tool, and I might have an arrow. So I might say, this is the main page. And this wouldn't be the finalized form. You'd make it look, a little bit nicer than this, but this is the main thing. And then the menu on the main page might link to, this might be About Us. And then this might be Testimonials. Longer. And then, that would also be linked to from the home page. And like you said, if there's a drop down, right, let's say there was a bit of a drop down menu from there. Move this up. Okay, point that there. And then if there is a drop down menu, then we might handle it like this. Like, let's say the third one was, let's say the third one was kind of a menu of options for people to choose from. Like a menu of services. If it was a plastic surgeon, it might be, liposuction and nose jobs and, breast augmentation or whatever. So let's say this is the menu of services that was provided. So we, have an arrow linking from the home page, and then you might have underneath this menu, you might have this menu pointing to some options over here.
Right.
So, something like that. So I might have three more boxes here that might be Service A, Service B, and Service C. Like for a plastic surgeon, it could be nose jobs, liposuction, and breast augmentation. Might be three more boxes that are right here. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's exactly how it would work, yeah.
Okay, great. And so in doing that, you're really getting on the same page with your client. You're saying that you put that into a PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, I put that into screens, and every page, if I have to add another slide, every slide would be a page. So in the case of this client, we had a locations page and what that included, and then we had a Houston page, Chicago page, and then what the elements were in there. What on each page was highlighted in the PowerPoint. And so what ends up happening with that is that they can kind of see everything.
Right, so we've got a Chicago office, a Houston office, a San Diego office, a Spring Hills, Texas office.
Right.
So let's go to San Diego and have a look at this. Okay, so then they can see what would happen on the San
For
Diego
example,
office. Yep.
yeah, so the slide in this case would be like I would label it San Diego, and I would have a box in the middle, and the middle would be exactly the same content that you see there. I'd have another box underneath that said address, and another box that said map, and then on the left another box that said appointment form, and then another box below that said working hours, so they can see exactly how it was going to be laid out. And if they needed to move something over, up, and around, they could easily do that, or just tell me where they wanted it.
So you're going page by page. So like this would be more of a site flow, but let's say this could be just the site flow for the main page, and then we might have a whole nother slide that would be just the About Me page, and then on the About Me page you tell them exactly what was going to be on the About Me page. So if I go to let's go to contact. Let's say it was contact instead of About Me page. Then on the contact page, you might say, okay, the contact page for the Chicago office is going to be, here's the address, here's the working hours, a map, another map. I see. It's the various offices and so forth.
Right.
So really, you're really signaling a real clarity to your client here.
Yeah, and that's important because the very first time I used to do this, the very first jobs that I took, it was just sort of verbal and back and forth in PDFs and email communication. And what ended up happening is that there was a lot of back and forth, and then the job got delayed. So this process helps me streamline everything, because once they send it all back and approve it, it's like, hey, you've approved this. This is the layout. Here's where everything's going to go. We just need to make that happen.
That's great. That's great. Okay, nifty. And then if we were to take this SoulMedic site, what we would do to implement this, once the client agrees to everything and they cut you a check, then you're going to go over to to ThemeForest. You're going to purchase SoulMedic, which costs $58, and now you own it forever. So if another client takes it, that's a fee that you're not going to have to charge. You're not going to incur that fee again. And then you go over to, in your case, you have a designer, but you met your designer on Elance, so it's the same process. You're going to go over to Elance and you're going to create a new job. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so if we go to, say, hire, and if we go to, say, post a job, then what you would do is you'd name your job something clear and descriptive, like modify ThemeForest WordPress theme.
Right.
And then you describe the job, which would be basically like, I purchased a theme on ThemeForest. Here's the theme. You may as well show people because there's no big secret to it. And then you'd say, you should be able to modify this. You should understand WordPress. I need to see samples of your work. And please, when you're bidding this job, type in XXX so I know that in the subject line, so that I know that you actually read this and that you're not a spam bot.
Correct.
Okay, great.
That's actually important, because when you get all these applications back, a lot of times it'll just be automatic responses, and that'll just weed out all those responses.
Right. You can weed out the automated responses that don't come in with that XXX in the title very quickly. And then for request-specific skills, in this case, really what we want them to have is graphics design background and WordPress background. Maybe CSS.
Right. Yeah, CSS. I go into CSS because there's going to be some elements that I would want them to change out. Like on that site, the appointment form is sort of baby blue. Well, it doesn't come like that, but I knew that it would probably look better if it was standing out a little bit more. And
that's a matter of modifying the CSS, which isn't that complicated. But if the designer doesn't know it, then you can't really say to them, hey, I want that form to be blue. They won't know how to do it.
Right.
So they need to have a graphics design background, they need to have WordPress, and they need to know CSS, and that's what they need to know. And we're going to put that in this box right here. For the select category of work is going to be design and multimedia. And then subcategory is going to be probably graphics design is probably fine. And then we're going to do, let's see, I wonder if WordPress is on here. Probably WordPress is on here somewhere.
Yeah, I think you can just type it in if it doesn't show up.
Yeah, WordPress didn't
Oh, it
show
should
up.
show on.
Yeah, it should show up. Up here it is. Yeah, it just took
Yeah,
a
there it
second.
is.
So WordPress, right here, and then we would type in CSS, and that'll show up in a few seconds. It's a little bit hung up because of the internet connection here, but it's right here, CSS, and then we would type in graphics design as well. And of course, we put in graphics design as one of the main headers, so we hardly even need to do that. And then what do you put for set work arrangement? How much would you tend to be looking to pay for this sort of thing?
Usually, let's say about a week's or let's say month's worth of work or something like that. If they have that in there, or I would do a price.
So let's say fixed price, and about what, 500 to 1,000?
Right, 500 to 1,000.
Okay, and then we would continue on from there, and we would tell people that we're looking for this to happen in what, about a week?
About a week or 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, so we describe 1 to 2 weeks. If we give the client 6 weeks to turn this around, do you think that that's a comfortable amount of time to hire a designer and give us a chance to go back to a second designer if the first one doesn't bring it home in 2 weeks?
Oh yeah. I usually tell my clients anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks gives you that buffer. So even theoretically, if you had to go through 3 designers, and by the way, your money with Elance goes, it's escrow, so they won't get paid until you're happy with the job, so there's no risk there.
Right.
This is great. And again, you're going to get a resume, like any person that you're bidding from to modify this theme for you. They're going to provide you with a body of work that you can look through so you're not flying blind. Also, Armando, you asked for their Skype instructions so you can actually talk to them.
Yeah, one of my requirements in the description is that they are available through email and through Skype, because that way it's going to be a communication between back and forth between them and I. So I need to be able to get a hold of them. Skype is usually the best way for me.
Terrific. Armando, I really appreciate your valuable time. I know this is going to help jumpstart people. This is a terrific reveal because you showed us the before and after. You showed us the pricing. You showed us where to go to get the theme, how to modify it. What a terrific lesson. Thank you so much, Armando.
No problem. Anytime, guys.
Really appreciate your valuable time. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Mike. I am really excited. This is the thing I like to do most. I'm with Daryl Ferguson. Daryl joined us. Daryl, I looked it up. I believe you joined us March 24th. And I've got some, I'm on your Facebook profile, and I've got some things pulled up here. I've got some news that you wrote down and a little conversation that we were having earlier. So I don't want this stuff left out. It says, chain of events, 2009, start buying thousands on worthless internet training, give up, start looking again. Anik shows up with his product, Inbox Blueprint, introduces me to OMG. It all comes together. Kick A ***, so kick butt, and then take names. And you really have. I got it right here. This is very proud of this post that you put up a couple days ago. Wow, a $45,000 month. Thanks, Mike, David, Greg, and other OMG family members. Celebrating, yes. Evening details to follow. So this is really cool. Daryl, thank you so much. I know you're heading off for your birthday weekend. Thank you so much for taking your valuable time to sit down with me today.
So I enjoyed it.
So is this basically, can you tell me this chain of events just in your own words? You're telling me you've been on Onyx list for a little while?
Yeah, I started with John Thornhill and spent a couple of $1,000 in his walk you through how to build a WordPress blog.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great training to learn how to build a WordPress blog for $2,000. Never made it done. Still got DarylFerguson.com up, and it's been generating some affiliate commission. But from what I've found, people, when they get in the business, I mean, it's exciting. They see there's a lot of money that can be made, but there is a little bit of work.
Yeah.
And they just miss that. And until you decide you want to go one direction, and the problem is many courses offer too much stuff too quick, and it's information overload, and you keep spending money and nothing happens. But you never take the first step. And what worked unique for me is that I got out of the car business after 30 years. I was a sales manager of a Chevrolet dealership making 100 plus a year. Got a divorce from a wife that was not being true, and I said, you know what, I want to get out of the car business and start something different. I said, what about the embroidery business? So I started an embroidery business in 2002, and it has done pretty good, but I've been trying to supplement my income with internet marketing.
Right.
So what happened was, 2009, I got into internet marketing and trying to did some affiliate stuff. But until I came into the OMG program, where you really start believing that what is taught is what really happens.
Right.
And I had a little bit of background training, but I could do a blog and whatnot, but I didn't have the feeling. It's sort of like, it probably goes back to what David Mills teaches. You've got to believe it really can do it. I think people get in there, really don't believe it can happen. I don't think they can believe they can make $40,000 a month.
Right.
And until you believe that it can be done, that's the first step. So I believe the law of implication is like a must do.
I completely agree. I think as soon as people jump inside, they should make a beeline for their law of implication training.
But it's just, you've got to get the feeling, and you've got to break your paradigm. People's paradigms circulate around, and they know they can achieve certain things, but they can't do $40,000 a month because their friends ain't doing it, and it can't be done.
Right.
So once you know it's very simple to do it, take one step at a time. The OMG program is perfect because it teaches you from ground zero what you need to do, and you look over the shoulder with these guys, and it's invaluable training.
No, I really appreciate you saying that. Now, go ahead.
So and I'm just saying this, and I try to say in my mind, what took so long? Well, actually, once I got the law of implication idea in my mind, that, it can be done, just think differently outside the box. My embroidery business, quite candidly, does about $16,000 a month.
Right.
But I had a website I designed 14 years ago, and the name of it was Liquid Airware. It has nothing to do with the exact match domain for keyword search, and I didn't have any idea what the hell that meant. Excuse my French.
Yep.
Until I got into the program and said, well, people are looking for embroidery in Pensacola. Why don't I get the domain name Pensacola Embroidery and it's .com instead, and I got .net. All right, so several months ago, just after I started with OMG, I made a simple WordPress website. Keyword match, went through, set up exactly the way David teaches, great teacher. And then what I did was, I only have 10 PBNs, but they're pretty high horsepower PBNs.
Yep.
One of them has 35,000 backlinks. And I just plugged 2 or 3 of them into PensacolaEmbroidery.net, and I went from the 12th page of my area to the first page of Google, and then I linked to Liquid Airware on my site, which already had 10 years. And between that and the PBN, I get more traffic now than I can.
That's great.
Literally, I've got 2 employees. There's 3 of us. I'm an OMG embroidery person.
Yeah.
There's 3 of us now doing $40,000 a month.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But I don't have an outside salesman, and they come in from. It's just one after another. Of course, after being in car sales for 30 years, I ask people, why did you call and how did you find out about us? And they said, well, I Googled it.
Yeah. Yeah.
On my smartphone.
Go figure.
So the embroidery business jumped, and now I'm looking back. We deal with from somewhere around 350 to 400 customers. We do their embroidery.
Yep.
in, I say, you know, do you have a website? How does it rank? Well, gee, we've been doing it 15 years. I've been in the painting business for 15 years, and we don't need a website because it's word of mouth. I said, let me ask you a question. 4 people, you do a job for somebody, and 4 people talk to, let's say, this guy you did work for, and this guy tells them, man, this is a good place to go. You need to use this guy. If, let's say, this plumbing company does great plumbing, been doing it for 30 years. So they tell their neighbor, who do you use for a plumber? And he tells you, well, the first thing that people are going to do is Google you.
Yeah.
And let's say 4 of the people that ask you, or ask this guy where to go to get it done right, let's say all 4 of them Google you. Well, 3 of them, if you don't have a website, are going to go like, well, God, while I was Googling you, I found a guy that does this, and he was closer, and guess where I went?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, sir, you know, I appreciate, and I have an open audience because all these people already deal with me and trust me.
Yeah.
So when I do, so I tell them, well, you know, if you build a website, I know you got 20 years of experience, and we got you on the first page of Google. How much business would you get? And they go like, oh my God. So we built 4 of them.
Nice.
And I have probably 20 people want me to build a website.
Wow.
But I've got my embroidery business going so good. I don't have time.
You have good kinds of problems now.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm single, and my girlfriend lives out of town, so I don't see her but on the weekend. So when I leave home, I come home and watch videos, you know, watch OMG pre-recorded tapes every night. That's her favorite comment. So what are you going to do, watch a webinar tonight?
That's wonderful.
Yep.
But I bet she's happy about it because you got all this money to spend now.
Duh.
Well, let me tell you this. One of the things I like, Daryl, because I remember when you came in new, and you were curious as could be, and it was new to you. And I know from reading your comments here, from your chain of events here, you know, that you spent thousands of dollars before you came to us and so forth, but you came in with an open heart. And so I got to watch your progression, and that's been really stirring for me. You talked about the belief that you can have success. And I know sometimes people go into different programs, and they'll be they hear about somebody must be successful. Maybe they don't meet anybody. But inside of OMG, what's the community like? Are there other people having success too?
Well, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, compared to the other several programs I've been in, well, most of them don't even have Facebook groups because they don't want people to compare because they might not be doing good. So I mean, you get the truth when you all can get on a Facebook group and share, and you open up you do what the government needs to do is, have the clarity of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I do Facebook, posts. I'll go like every day. I pick up a tidbit of information off the Facebook group where somebody says, "Well, I tried this and this didn't work, but hey, here's something that does work." Oh my God.
Yeah. Now
where do you get sharing like this?
I agree with you, and it makes me real proud because you're sitting here. I mean, I'd say most programs, if one guy made $40,000 in a month, it would just be hysteria. And here, of course, you got lots of congratulations and well deserved. But you're really one. I mean, we have hundreds of people having success. Who are some of the people that you have interacted with who have inspired you and the kind of success they're having?
Well, Cotton was eye-opening.
Yeah.
David Keys.
Yep.
He's great. But there's like 10 or 15 others that the name's not coming to my mind, but you see their posts all the time, and they're always openly trying to help people, and they're already having success, and figures don't, and some of the webinars, of course, some of the other people that have done good jump in there and say something. But I mean, this is a gambit of people that spread all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a no-brainer. I mean, and when I think when I saw the original introduction to OMG through Honest, he said, what's it really worth? And somebody says $20,000. Yeah, it sure is. I mean, it's hard to tell people that it can be worth that much until they make a little bit, but I mean, don't go too fast. You know, they go too fast and try to jump around. Pick one thing, pick a domain, make your, and also have My City SEO Expert. It's sitting on a second page of Google, but I don't have enough content in there to move to the first page. I actually threw a video up there. It went to the first page of Google, and I said, well, I'm not ready to have it there, so I took the video down and it drifted back down to the second or third page. So, I mean, I could literally in 2 or 3 days have it on the first page of Google.
That's awesome. You know,
I don't know if I can handle all that business right now. I do have a gentleman that's, you know, he's got a unique circumstance. He's 42 years old, got 3 kids. His wife's a pharmacist. He's a stay-at-home guy, but he's a computer guru. And I told him to come up with the idea. I said, "Do you want to build some websites?" "Yeah, can you build a WordPress website?" He said, "What's that?" I said, "If you can build simple WordPress websites, I'll let you build them while I'm doing my embroidery business."
Yeah. Yeah. So that way you can partner up with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I still want to be, you know, the one-man gang because I don't like, after 30 years of the car business, you know, everybody wants to stab you in the back.
Yeah, no, but it's a great feeling though being a one-man gang and yet still having support. You know, still having people to interact with. I think that's one of the things about OMG that I really enjoy is seeing people have true success because they're not overly relying on other people, and yet you're still getting great support from other people. I mean, really incredible support.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, if I could quit my daytime job, which I love, my business, in a week, I mean, there's no telling where I could be, but I haven't had that, you know, I'm spending a couple hours a night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I mean, the combination of the OMG learned skills has brought my business, and that's one of the things, I'm sure a lot of the people that are in OMG, being that their mindset is an entrepreneur mindset, I'm sure a lot of them either are self-employed or have a small business, and I'm wondering, wow, have you tried to take the OMG philosophy and use it on your own business?
Yeah.
Start there.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Daryl, I know you're going to be heading off for your birthday weekend, so I really, really appreciate you reaching out on this. I know Anik, I told Anik about this, and he was excited. He's, you know, had a lot of people having success that joined up at about the same time you did, and he's just real appreciative. I'm real appreciative. I know that David's going to be tickled pink to hear you talk about law of implication because he's so passionate about that. Greg's going to be excited that you got your site up and got it ranked. So, you know, we like to tell people OMG is a city on a hill, and this is, you know, a great reason why right here. Daryl, thank you so much for your valuable time. Did you have any parting words?
I appreciate you calling, and I haven't got my tickets to Nashville because I'm trying to figure out if I got enough time to break loose to get up there. I know I got to go because I've been to live events, and there's like nothing that you can express to people what helps when you go to them events. So,
yeah, I hope you make it out.
I'm trying to squeeze some time in to do that, and everybody in OMG, man, they're just great.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way down the line, we've got a mindset, and then the city on the hill is really what it's about.
Wow.
One of these days, you know, maybe I can jump on a webinar when I'm set up, and in a month or so, have another couple of earnings reports.
I'd love that. I'd love that, Daryl. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and God bless you, bud.
Buddy, I appreciate all you do for me. Good luck.
Appreciate you too. God bless.
All right.
All right, bye-bye. All right, that was Daryl. Very, very proud of him.
Hey guys, this is Joe Marfolio. Some of you know me, some new people might not know me as much. I've been traveling the past year, and I haven't been spending a lot of time in the Facebook group. But I still get messages pretty often of people who are just getting started, and especially in the local market, and they want to build up their confidence, or maybe they could rank a site, but they're having a hard time getting a client, or they haven't ranked the site yet and they want to get clients and they have nothing to show them. So I'm going to show you something here that I've done. I did when I was new, and it helped me out a lot. And if you're brand new, how you can start making money in local space without ever having to get a client if you don't want. It's through local CPA CPA, and it's pay per call. It's actually pay per call, PPC. So there's a website. I'll put the link down here in the description called Offer Vault, and many of you probably know it. It's where you can get all kinds of CPA offers. What they also do is they have a section which is called pay per call. So basically, for every phone call that you send them, they will pay you for them. And a lot of the offers are actually local business type offers. So I just clicked on this and I just clicked on the payout, and you can see some of these payouts are upwards of $170. Now the highlighted area, those are the paid, those are like the sponsored ads, and you get the regular ads down here. But if we look at some of them, here's a mortgage lender, tax attorney, $70. Small business, $55. National debt relief, medical alert, $25. Empire Today, if we click on that, I think they do like flooring, home improvements, home furnishing. So it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic, tile, and windows. We go down here. There's let's see. Here's personal injury. Okay, $210 a lead. Drug rehab. This is a great one. These alcohol and drug rehabs, because I haven't seen a lot of people doing this, but they're paying you upwards of $150, $120, $80 a lead. Detox, $70. There's a structured settlement, $70. ADT, which is home security, $70 or $60 a lead. So as you go down here, you'll see there's all different kinds of leads here. Now, some of these leads you might look at and say, well, shoot, you know, $20, $21, $22, you know, that's maybe it's not worth your time. Well, there's something to consider, in which I actually did. I think I was doing leads for Windows, or it was a really niche I wasn't getting paid a lot of money for. But what I did do was I put a tracking number on my website. So the pay-per-call leads went to the pay-per-call company, and I recorded all the calls. Then, you know, after a couple of months, I went out and I got a contractor, and I said, look, here's my site. It's already ranked #1. Hey, you want to listen to all the leads I got last month? Here's a recording of all the leads. And boom, I sold those leads for double what I was paying the CPA offer. Or you can lease the site out, or you can get a client. But there you have your proof. You have the site ranking. Not only that, you have recorded leads that are coming in. So it's basically the easiest thing to sell. Now there's a couple of things you want to keep in mind when you're looking at these CPA offers. If you've ever done CPA before, you know that it's hard to get accepted to some of the networks. There are some that are easier, like Neverblue, pretty easy. I don't know about some of these other ones, but a lot of times they're going to ask you, well, you know, who are you already with? Do you have any proof of earnings? And they really vet you pretty hard sometimes. But here's what I do. So say if I was going to sign up for this alarm system for Neverblue. Well, you go to their site. So if you click on here, let's just click on it, okay? And this gives you a little detail. It says call converts after 2 minutes. Lead $60. Neverblue, and then it says join a network. Well, when you go here, you got to put in your information here. So I don't know, this Neverblue, I don't know if they changed their affiliate sign up, but this is the information. So I put this in, and I just want to see what happens next. Thank you, email. Okay, so we get email verification. Okay, so I hit the link, and then now you got a longer form. Put your name, company, address, city, zip code, phone number, all those types of information. What they'll do is they'll end up calling you. Usually you don't get accepted unless you get a phone call and they start asking you all kinds of questions. So I mean, that's just with Never Blue. There's other ones that it's basically the same process all the way around. So what I tell them is this: I say, listen, I'm a local marketer. I have local clients. We rank videos for them. We rank websites for them, and we get we get them leads. I'm going. I want to try to do some lead generation and get away from getting my own clients. They may ask to see your site. I mean, I have a couple of sites. I have my local site, which is just, for my local business, and I have my own personal site, and I usually just show them those. And it's usually fine. And they'll say, hey, how many leads can you get in? And I would just say, listen, my other clients, they're getting, I don't know, they're getting 20, 30 calls a month. So I said, all depends on the offer and different things like that. Now there's another company, and I am not an expert. I mean, there's some other people who do more cost per action CPA stuff than I do, that might have better tips for getting in. I basically would just call on an offer I liked and talk to the guy, and usually got in. And if they didn't let me in, I just went to somebody else. There's plenty of offers out there. Now there's another company. It's called Max Bounty, and they pretty much accept anyone. It's real not hard to get in them, and if you do start out with them, then you try to get in a different network. You say, well, I'm with Max Bounty, and this is what I've done with them, and it really, that helps you out a lot too. So even with Max Bounty, I could probably even talk to my representative who I work with here, and if you were interested in getting in with them, you can send me a message. I can tell her and give you guys, and she'll let you in. But so if you're in, say, Max Bounty, if you go to pay per call, what I do is I just search United States. You can search anywhere you want if you're in a different country, but I mean, if you're in another country, you can still search United States. I just like it because I can do different cities in the U.S. and I know the United States. So here you have a list of offers, EBC and CPA rate. So EBC is how much you're making per conversion. I'm not going to go into that in this video. I think Mike has some videos on that already. What I do is I'll go to the CPA rate and I'll just click it. So I go from the highest to the lowest. Here we go. Here's one right here. This is truck and accident injuries. So this is injury attorney, car accidents, $84 lead. And what I like about Max Bounty is that they pay. You have your threshold, and I don't ever worry about them paying me. So it's $85. Drug and here's another addiction one, $70. Adoption assistant, $37. So I mean, there's all kinds of different ones here. Empire Today, $17. So even though there's not as many here as in, say, Offer Vault, there's still a good amount to choose from. And if you did, say you went with Empire Today and you just want to do something easy like flooring, and you're getting $17.50 a lead, after a couple months, I bet you could either sell that site or lease that site to a contractor, or you could probably get, $40, $45 a lead, depending on what it is. Credit card debt relief, I stay away from that. But I mean, these drug and rehabs, this is pretty good. Now what I usually do when I test out one of these campaigns, I always rank a video, because videos are easy to rank and they're easy to put together. And if I screwed something up, I could always make a new one. I usually will use animated type videos. I was using Sparkle, SPARKOL. I'll put a link down there. But there's been, and that's a monthly price, but there's some other software that came out that I really like. And some of you may have it. It's called VideoMaker FX. I'll put that in a link. For basically 2 months of that Sparkle, you can get this VideoMaker, and it'll make all kinds of whiteboard videos, slide videos, all kinds of things. It's all kinds of different types of videos. So I'll just get someone to write it. I get a writer off of guru.com. Maybe it costs me $20 for a really good script, and then I just make a video with VideoScribe or VideoMaker FX, and there's my video. Another type video that works really well, and you just got to be careful the way you frame it, is a review video. If you're doing drug and alcohol, you don't want to say, hey, unless you did go to rehab center, but you can do a review type video of the center. I'd say a lot of people have good success with this, and I mean, it's all the way you present it. But those are the two types of different videos I do. Then if I start getting a little bit of traction with the video, I put a website up. I always find, personally, I get a lot more calls through a website than a video. But while the video is while the website's taking time to put together and rank, I already have a video up, and I'm already getting leads. Anyway, I hope this helps you guys. And another thing too is, if you do a big company like ADT, they're national. So if you're showing potential clients, you say, what have you ranked? Well, my client ADT, you heard of them? Yeah. Well, I do some of their SEO, and I got them ranked for this. So that helps out a lot too. But if I have time, I'll try to post some more tips. But this is just something that I know, if you're starting out, this can really give you a boost.
Hey, this is Mike, and I'm really excited, as always. Perhaps the favorite thing that I do inside of OMG. I'm here with Mark. And Mark, do I pronounce your last name Highway?
It's actually Hayway.
Hayway. That sounds even better. A little bit offbeat. And I want to read a letter you sent me August 13th, 6 days ago.
Yeah, sure.
You say you lost track of our discussion regarding a video interview for OMG. You've had your nose to the grind. To be honest, though, I'm now averaging $35,000 a month using a mix of affiliates, lead gen, SEO, consulting, so kind of multiple streams of income approach.
Yep.
Based on the course you took with us. Let me just see if I can get that Facebook closed there, if possible. Okay, I apologize if my Facebook thing bongs. So take us inside your progression with things. So you're doing multiple streams of income. First of all, congratulations. I know everyone's excited for you. What have you been doing? What's been the most successful? And really, how did you get started with things?
Well, I think it's probably a good idea to just give you a quick background on me, really, because sometimes I think I've probably had a little bit of not an unfair head start, but I had a bit of a head start on this kind of whole online marketing thing. Because
sure.
I mean, I'm in my late 30s now, and I've always worked in web, but it's only really been the last 4 years or so that I've been involved in trying to make my own income rather than just my 9-to-5 job. But anyway, to cut to the chase, I work for an American company called Garmin, the GPS guys.
Yep.
Probably them. And I was their online marketing manager for quite a few years, and I was based out in Switzerland, so they had a European headquarters there. And whilst I was there, I tended to get quite a bit of time on my hands, so I started to think about how I could basically lead the company and start supporting myself with my own projects. So I'd always built websites, so got into online marketing, started a few affiliate projects, obviously learning little bits of SEO here and there. I tried paid search, that didn't work particularly well. And I can't honestly remember how it was that I stumbled across OMG, but I did somehow. And that was probably about, let me just think, that must have been 1.5 years, 2 years ago while I was still living in Switzerland, working for Garmin at the time. But anyway, we'll get there again. I decided that I wanted to get my own business running. I wanted to really increase the sort of income I was already making, which was reasonable income, outside of work, but it wasn't kind of to the volumes we're talking now. So what I learned with OMG, the great thing about it was it really kind of cemented the stuff I was doing, and it gave me all these other kind of ideas like, well, I can do this stuff for clients, I can do it for lead gen, I can do it for kind of rental sites, I can improve the affiliate stuff I'm doing. So I was working away on OMG whilst at my job, and then it got to a point where I was earning more outside of gardening than I was inside of gardening.
Yeah.
So at that point I said, right, that's it, I'm leaving, going to move back to England because my wife had had a baby. And
oh wow!
yeah,
So you're away from your wife and child. That's tough.
No. We're all in Switzerland, but we had a baby over there, and it's going to be a lot easier to be in England.
Yeah.
So
like close to the grandparents and stuff like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So I said to Garden, I want to move back. They shipped us all over back to England, and within a month I resigned, and I've looked back since. So. Yeah, that was kind of the backstory, as it were.
Sure. So let's talk about, let's zoom in a little bit on what you're doing right now and backwards engineer it a little bit. So let's start, the first thing that you said is mix of affiliates, lead gen, SEO consultancy. So those are the profit centers. So with affiliate stuff, without necessarily getting into your actual pages, what are you doing right now for keyword research that you think is giving you an edge? Because really, keyword research is one of the soft spots that people have when they're getting started out.
I mean, I can't claim to use any fantastic, clever keyword research strategies other than the Google AdWords planner.
Yeah.
I just use that. I look for volume because I know that if I know what price point is on the products and I can see the volume, I can make some calculations pretty quickly what a first, a second, or a third position is. And I know, based on what we've learned, that it's reasonable for me to expect if I put my heart and soul into everything, I'm going to hit those positions. So there's no real kind of secret. I know there's a lot of guys who kind of look into solution, problem versus solution type keywords, but I don't. I just go straight for stuff that I know is going to earn me a buck. So whether that's some kind of review-based keyword, a coupon-based keyword, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I just go for the money keywords that I know have got a definite dollar sign at the end of them.
So you're probably coming from a standpoint where your real strength that you built was SEO, because people who get more into keyword research are usually people who feel a little bit softer with their SEO. Maybe their private blog network isn't as powerful. Maybe they have a little bit they just don't have the same confidence. For you, you've really probably built a strong PBN. You probably feel like really comfortable and relaxed knowing that you can come after a keyword term and rank.
Obviously the PBN stuff is something I picked up in OMG. I wasn't particularly aware of it beforehand, but for me that's just that's a part of it. But I've always been I like to be creative when it comes to link building. So I share a lot of ideas with guys in OMG, and we have private discussions about what's working, what's not. And I always say they always seem to be like, well, we need to get, how many PBN links is it going to take me? And I said, look, my SEO consultancy site, my most successful sites, yes, they have PBN links, but that's only 20% of the story. The rest of it's been really creative, building relationships online, reaching out to other websites, and just trying to think a little bit creatively about how we can build those link profiles. I think that serves two purposes. A, it looks so much more natural. It means any kind of footprint you're leaving is a little bit more hidden. Plus, it should safeguard those websites a little bit better into the future. But, I've got websites now that have been running for maybe 3 years that haven't been hit, and I think that's down to just really diversifying the type of sort of marketing.
So let's talk about that. And one of the things I love about these earnings reports is delving in. Every OMGer who's successful, especially successful in this scale, because you're really getting up there, they're going to have a mixture of things. It's usually going to be these three things. Certainly some stuff that they learn from us, maybe PBNs or some conversion strategies or video, whatever. A bit about the community, connections that they've made. But there's almost always a strength and innovation something special that you have gravitated to, innovated, come up with. So one of the things that you're doing is you're taking very seriously the idea of making alliances with other webmasters and getting them somehow to link back to your site, getting reasonable link text set up, incentivizing them. Can you take us inside of, without even necessarily giving the name of the company or how you did it, how it is that how you might specifically approach one of these deals, because this could really help people.
Well, I mean, a good example that I've shared with some of our peers in the group recently has been online interviews. I mean, it is the most, or what I feel is one of the easiest ways to get yourself relevant backlinks at the moment. So the kind of strategy goes something like this. You can position yourself as an expert on SEO based on the knowledge you have, right?
Absolutely.
Now, SEO people by their nature, they're kind of crying out for content a lot of the time. So what I've done, particularly with kind of local business sites, is I've gone online and looked for other digital marketing websites that are interviewing people in the field of SEO. And I'll typically approach them and say, look, hi, my name's Mark, I'm an SEO consultant. I've got a bit of a different viewpoint at the moment on the recent Google algorithms, and notice you're interviewing SEO consultants. Would you be prepared to give me an interview? 9 times out of 10, they'll snap your hand off, as long as it's not like a large site that's used to interviewing Matt Cutts or Ram Fishkin. You should be in with a shout at getting an interview. Now, the great thing about this is kind of twofold. A, you can get a great backlink opportunity to your SEO consultancy website, plus you can start building your authority up online. So if any client deems it necessary to Google your name, all these references are going to start popping up. So as an SEO consultant, that helps you, but also you can do it with clients as well. So if your clients, I don't know what a typical niche might be, but let's say they are a solicitor, one of the first things I do is go online and try and find websites that are interviewing solicitors about the latest kind of legal news, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a solicitor for people from America is a lawyer in the UK.
But,
yeah,
I know it's different meaning, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, I really like this, Mark, and I think that this alone is a wow point, and you could full stop this interview right now and have gotten massive. And I want to point this out. That's so powerful inside of OMG is now we're getting so many earnings reports.
I had the ability to post blog posts directly on LinkedIn, and I wrote a quick blog post just about some kind of Google algorithm. I can't remember what it was now, but a few days later I went back to the blog post and noticed that it had something like 500 unique views on LinkedIn. Now at the time I only had something like 200 connections on LinkedIn. So I suddenly made that kind of assumption that, well, it's not just my connections who are seeing this content I'm writing, it's their connections as well. And it's probably a broader audience on LinkedIn. Because I'd assumed it would just be my connections that saw that blog post, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I did, I thought, well, why don't I just write a LinkedIn blog post saying, do you want a free SEO trial, or do you want to have your Google rankings improved for free? I wrote the blog post, did a quick link to my consultancy site with a video saying who I was, what I did, made the offer look scarce. It was something like, I don't know, there's 3 spaces for a free trial this month. And I got something like 500 views on the blog post, 2 or 3 form submissions from potential new clients who I'd never spoken to before. One of those has now turned into a client. So that was just an example of just seeing a quick opportunity, putting a couple of, kind of assumptions together and just trying something that worked.
Yeah, there's something with going after traffic where if you really go angle after angle after angle, Hung Lee recently put out a video, and we'll be putting that into everyone's NHB members areas about he's grabbing up clients like crazy.
Anyone can see it. If they do, they can see my LinkedIn profile. I feel that way. Any prospective clients, they can view me immediately, see etc. Don't have to make that connection with me. I felt that was important. I thought I've got nothing to hide. It's just got my CV on there. Also reached out to a few people I've worked with in the past, got testimonials, etc., etc. And it's kind of started to take on a bit of a natural life of its own. I've not got a huge amount of connections, but it's certainly, I would say, in the last 3 or 4 months, got me two or three jobs.
Yeah, that's excellent. Now, are there other ways? And what I'm hearing from you is these things that you go in. You said it originally. You're going to start with smaller clients. You'll build up. You started small on LinkedIn. You build up. You might start small with your city SEO. You build up. You get better at it. Maybe you start with page 1 ranking. Maybe eventually you get that to number 1. Maybe then you add a YouTube video. Maybe then you add a Facebook. But there's ways that you can expand things. I'll tell you something else is with clients. Eventually you do get referrals. You'll eventually find 1 or 2 gems that will that can refer you out and that can drive more business than all your other business combined, because there are certain individuals that are just kind of drive a lot of traffic. They just know a lot of people, they make a lot of recommendations, and they're trusted.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point, and it actually reminds me that it's a strategy I've used. So in terms of referrals, I've almost treated my SEO consultancy like it's an affiliate program. So I've approached existing clients I've had and I said, look, if you refer me to your business partners or your customers who you think could benefit from my services, then if that turns into a successful piece of business for me, I'll reduce your monthly contract by X%, whatever it might be. I'll also do it with friends. Obviously, I'm not doing SEO for my friends, so I do it differently. And I say, look, conversation perhaps with your boss about the business that you work for, if that turns into business for me, I'll give you £500.
Yeah. Have you ever paid out £500?
Not yet.
Ha! I gotcha.
But the intent there, to be honest, I get referrals from friends and I don't need to, but it's just something that could work,
Well, and the point is you're going for it, though.
So you can do it on that. So
yeah. Well, but the point is that you're going for it, like
exactly,
and really in developing it, and what I want someone to get out of watching this is your attitude, that you're not looking to walk in and win the day the very first time. You're not looking to immediately win every battle. You're not James Bond, where every thought that you have is automatically brilliant. You understand every technology immediately. It's more through a feedback loop process that you get better and better at this, and you're looking to be stuck into it. You're looking to improve over time. So you're not even looking necessarily to have initial success, but you're looking to grow and grow and grow, and that's a great attitude.
Oh, completely. And I think about 5 minutes ago, I referred to a free trial. Now, free trials might sound like the antithesis of good business. I mean, it doesn't. Why would you do something for someone for free? But it can work, and this is how. So, in my experience of being both client and business side of SEO, there's a lot of most SEO agencies will approach a company and they go, right, we'll improve your rankings. Sign a 6-month contract. On day 1, pay us £1,000, $5,000, whatever it is. There's so many people trying to sell SEO that businesses are getting wary of this kind of stuff. At least in the UK they are. So, look, the proof's in the pudding at the end of the day. I don't know if that's an expression in the US or not.
It
it's
is,
an
yeah.
expression. Okay, so I say, look, I'll go away for a month. You won't hear from me for 30 days. But here's where you rank today. And here's 30 keywords. Now, I'll deliberately pick out some of the longer tail keywords that aren't as competitive. And I'll go away and I know I can get some ranking improvements within 30 days. After that month, I'll go back to them and I'll say, look, you're in position 15, 30, maybe this 4-term long-tail keyword. Now, they've immediately got proof that you can do it. And 100% of the time I've done that tactic, they've signed a contract within the next week.
Hung Lee said that one of the things that he does is he offers guaranteed deals, 90-day guarantees. And what he's doing, it winds up being relatively similar to a free trial if you think about the math of it. And what he does is goes after quick rankings with social projects, just hammering things with GSA and PBN links on like stuff that is going to rank so easy, Facebook, YouTube, just to show them some results and really wow them. So he's not really selling them like what's going to happen. He's just selling them like, I'm going to get you leads. And then he's just getting in there with these easy to rank stuff while he's slowly building up their site. And so it's very similar to what you're doing there with the long tail. Very, very, very smart strategy. And this is, we'll notice that people that are having success will have different takes on the same, different spins on the same things. Let's talk about pricing. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, you know, I'm not sat here inventing these strategies. They're things I've picked up within OMG and the other guys out there, and I've just adapted it to suit me, you know, and sometimes put a bit of a twist on it, and that's what it's kind of about. You know, I don't follow everything to a T. I just take what I need and adapt it and see if it works for me.
I love that. What about pricing? How are you doing pricing right now for clients?
How do you mean exactly? Well, actually, no, I think I do know what you mean. So I said on my website for my consultancy services, I don't have any tiered approach to SEO. There's no kind of bronze, silver, gold stuff. Because to me, that doesn't make sense. Because you could have a client who's a charity that just wants email subscriptions. You could have a guy selling, I don't know, NRA brain scanners, you know, which cost however many thousands of pounds. Or it could be just someone selling party gifts. So for me, what I tend to do, I speak to the client, I get a very, very quick idea of kind of what bracket they're going to be in, and you start to pick up this kind of sixth sense after a while. I'll then speak to them and say, well, what is the value of SEO to you? I mean, if I can get you, I don't know, 100 additional visits a week, what does that convert to? And I say, well, I don't know. And then that leads me into the next conversation of, well, let's look at your website. I can help you improve on those conversions, whether that's, you know, the on-site SEO, the placement of the shopping cart, that kind of stuff. But to cut the long story short, essentially it's like saying, I'll give you this amount of traffic, potentially, and if we know your website's going to convert at 10%, we'll do some calculations, and it soon gives me an idea of how to price that client. So that's kind of how I do it. I don't tend to say, oh, it's $100 for one keyword or anything like that. It's kind of a broader SEO strategy. So typically most of my clients will have maybe 30 core keywords, and that way I know that even if I can't get that highest volume keyword to position one within the 3 to 6 month time frame, whatever it might be, I've got 29 other keywords that I'm going to rank well for them as well, which will more than make up for that.
Got it. Let's say, just do a little bit of role playing here. So let's say I'm a solicitor, a lawyer in America, and you're trying to pick me up. So I say, okay, you know, I'm impressed with you. How much is it going to be?
Okay, well, the thing is, Mike, it's about, you know, what.
We have I do family law, and you know, so like divorce law and so forth. It's different. If it's a divorce case, then I have a $2,000 retainer, and or 2,000, let's say £2,000 retainer in your terms, which I guess would be about $3,000 US, maybe 3,500. So 3,000, 2,000 pounds retainer, and then if we settle out of court, then it's, you know, usually going to wind up being about 4,000 pounds total, and that it's 1,000, 2,000, 4,000.
Okay, well, Mike, you know, listening to you, I mean, I can tell that you're evidently one of the best solicitors in the county. Lawyers, I should say. I'm convinced that if you get, let's say you get 3 potential phone calls during the day, how many of those turn into clients?
About 1 out of every 3.
Okay, so the normal scene of business, perhaps 10%. So, I mean, I'd be prepared to take the kind of money you make from 1 out of 10 of your clients. So if that's $5,000 a month or $6,000 a month, I think that's the value of SEO.
No, I like how you broke that down. And if they shrink back a little bit, if they pull back a little bit, then will you chase a bit, or do you just kind of pull back?
I'm not a salesman by any stretch, but what I am confident of is if I can get in a room with a client, then I usually feel I can win that business. If they start to get a bit sketchy about the money, then everything is negotiable. So, you know, in any line of business it is. So, but I'll always have in my head, you know, if I give them a price, it's always every single time at least 30 or 40% of what I really think it's worth. So that way there's some room for maneuver. At the beginning, I used to be scared about overpricing. So let's say a client in England was worth £1,000, I'd probably go in there at 500 quid.
Yeah.
But I don't do that now. If a client's worth £1,000 in England now, I'd go in at £1,500, because then that gives that room for negotiation. But I'm getting more and more surprised by the amount of clients who actually say, okay, because I think the thing is, and there's a psychology here, I'm sure, I'm selling myself as a high premium service.
Yeah.
And people want to feel that they've got a high premium service.
Let's
So-
that's fantastic. Let's talk about follow through, including what you're promising for that £1,000 or £1,500. What kinds of things are you typically promising? You know, what kind of picture are you typically painting for your client, and how are you following through with them?
Well, you know, I don't promise anything at all. But what I do say is that I've got a track record of doing this successfully, and I'll show them a portfolio of clients. But you know, what I'll say to them is, I'll say, look, I've got a cake. Sorry, let me start again. I'll say to them, look, I've got a proven track record of success, and you can Google me, and you can see the online footprint of, you know, my kind of knowledge in the area, and that's going back to the online interviews we spoke about earlier.
Yep.
What I'm going to do for you as a client.
I love that authority, by the way. I think that's just brilliant. Just brilliant that you have that basically that you have testimony from Google from a couple of different angles. Do you do your city SEO?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
So then you have both your city SEO and you have this kind of external track record.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Please go ahead.
So yeah, I'll say to the client, look, I'm going to work diligently to improve your search engine rankings within 6 months. That's the typical target I put. And I'll say, but not only that, I'll try and identify additional traffic opportunities to drive users to your website, you know, whether that is the YouTube video approach or whether that's reciprocal partnerships with other businesses, and this is because I've got the knowledge of the affiliate arena, you know, I can even propose that we open up their products and services to some of the affiliate networks, which is a lot of the time something that some businesses have no idea about whatsoever. So it's just about saying, look, it's not just about the rankings for your website. It's about, you know, other online assets. And my terminology is usually, I will create you an online asset portfolio. And obviously within that portfolio, the classic Web 2.0, Web 2.0 kind of stuff, the video, all those kind of things.
Nice. What are you using to report back to clients? I'm
kind of, I mean, I don't know if I'm just lucky, but most of the clients I have are pretty easy going. So typically I'll email them once a month with an invoice attached, of course, but I'll also export a snapshot of their latest rankings. If there's any particularly good coverage online, let's say I've managed to get them some editorial in a national news piece or something, I'll attach that. But it's all very kind of, I like my business relationships to be, what's the word? Obviously they're professional, but they're not staid and corporate. It's very kind of, you know, hey, look, client, here you go, we've just managed to get this newspaper report for you, what do you think? Do you fancy meeting for coffee next week? I can tell you how I did it, that kind of stuff. So it's just about the rankings and highlights of activity, really.
Yeah, you're really going much more for for your lifestyle to match up with your business. It's important for you.
Oh, completely. And like some of the UK guys at the moment, I'm kind of, some of the leads I'm getting in, what I'm trying to do at the moment is really focus on stuff that I know will make a difference. So recently I've kind of worked with a few of the other UK guys, and I've been passing them on some of the leads that I'm getting through that I don't necessarily want to work on myself. So if there's any other guys out there in the UK watching this video, just get in touch with me and give me a shout out. If I get anything suitable, I can always send it their way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, let's finish up talking about lead gen. That was the last source you were talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was entirely inspiration from OMG, 100%. So when I first started watching those videos, whenever it was, one of the ones which really caught my imagination was, and my memory might be slightly at the clouds of time in it and slightly misty, but I'm sure Greg Morrison spoke about lead generation stuff or renting out sites for legal or lawyer professions.
Yeah.
So what I did was I set up one website which targeted a particular city in the UK and a particular legal niche. I literally spent 6 months working on it, not 24/7, I would evidently, but perhaps an hour a day until it got #1 position for pretty much all the high volume keywords. It got to that point and I tried to go through the whole process of trying to hire it out to a lawyer. I made videos which I sent to lawyers, I connected with lawyers on LinkedIn. I even picked up the phone, which for me was really hard because that's not how I like to work. Because I'm not a sales guy. I'm not like you, Mike. It's not easy to do that kind of thing.
I don't like to do that stuff either.
So I was stuck there with this site thinking, well, how do I rent this thing out? But in the end, I just thought, well, let's find someone else who can do something with it. So I just started searching for, I think it was online marketing services for legal firms. And I ended up finding this leads company who, put tracking phone numbers on it. And to be honest, it's made a huge difference to my business, the amount of income I'm getting. And it's all passive. Due to that relationship I've got with that leads company now, I'm now working with one of the leading claims management and legal companies in the UK. They're asking me to manage other affiliates for them and basically mentor people to SEO other cities for them. So it's turned into a fantastic opportunity for me. And it's probably accountable for around 30% of my business now. And the great thing is as well is I don't like to have all the eggs in one basket. So it's really helping me to diversify the client stuff, the affiliate stuff, the lead stuff.
I really like that. Again and again, one of the kind of the basis of this interview, one of the ways that you're having success again and again is you have a real willingness to build up to success, but keep plugging and plugging and plugging on something until it just ramps up and ramps up and ramps up. And you'll just keep trying different things. With the lead gen site, you tried and tried and tried until it was top ranked. You tried to monetize it this way, that way, the other way. And you kept going, you kept going. #1 didn't work, #2 didn't work, #3 didn't work, #4 didn't work. #5 finally showed some promise. And then once you hit #5, you kept plugging on it and plugging on it and plugging on it. And now it's ramped up. It sounds like you're making around 10 grand a month from that client, based on the numbers I'm looking at. So that's awesome.
And that's niche, the numbers are something like that. So yeah, it's going really well. And the great thing is I've now opened that up to other guys in our group. So I've written a tutorial for them and saved it as a PDF and emailed it to them just so I can help those guys out too.
This is just brilliant. Mark, I'm incredibly grateful for this interview. You wowed me. I'm sure anybody watching it. Any final words or thoughts for people about the community or about what they should know about getting the most out of OMG?
I suppose it's don't be afraid to ask. I mean, it doesn't seem like anybody ever pulls anyone up for asking a stupid question. I mean, we all see questions in there that have been answered 1,000 times before. But the great thing is, no one's jumping on that person saying, you're an idiot. There's always someone prepared to come in and help out. And there is this real community feel. There was a thread earlier before we started our video conference about one of our OMG guys over in Oz is getting some kind of idiot emailing him about, he's seen his PBN and all this stuff and he's going to report him. Basically, it's crap. But certainly the members have jumped on. Everyone's kind of trying to find out who this scammer is. They're pulling up his LinkedIn page, personal details, phone numbers for the guy. Yeah, it's a little bit of a witch hunt, but it just shows the strength of feeling, the community that's engendered within OMG at the moment. Whether it's the right thing or not, I'm not sure. In that particular case, but
the heart's in the right place.
Everyone's really to help each other.
Yeah, I really, man, I'm grateful for this. I know this is going to benefit so many people, new people, folks that have been through it. And I'll say one of the attitudes that David Mills really wanted to have inside of OMG is exactly what you're saying. I think we've all run into, you go to a store and you ask a basic question to the cashier, and they kind of roll their eyes at you as if, and what they're thinking. They're thinking they've answered this 100 times, but not while you were there. It's not like you've heard it 100 times. And so having that attitude is just invaluable. OMG is a city on a hill. It's a place where friends come together in Providence, and we really mean that. And never so true as right now, Mark. With this, I am so grateful for this moment of time with you. Thank you so much.
No worries. I'll see you soon.
All right. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Amazing. Okay, I'm here with, this is Mike, I'm here with Maria, and Maria's from Northern California. She actually used to go to school near where I used to live in La Jolla, but now she's in Northern California. And Maria, hi, welcome. Thanks for meeting up with me on this Sunday.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm quite excited about this. I showed your earnings report to David Mills, and right away he was like, "Well, have you talked to her?" I was like, "Not yet." So, so this is cool. The last couple of weeks we've been talking a lot about the power of list building, and almost like having free traffic, really, when you have people on a list. And then we got this really terrific earnings report from you. I'll just read it. I've got it pulled up on the screen, but I'll just read it anyways. Since so many people, this is you writing, since so many people here have inspired me, I'm hoping I can inspire somebody in here with a list to take action. I've always been a little bit hesitant to over email my list, but decided to do so, to do a Labor Day sale and email everybody for 4 days. I even added in 2 extra emails to remind people the discount offer was almost over. It took me over an hour to write and queue 6 emails, and so far they've generated $8,000 in revenue. Funny thing, the special that I offered is always offered in a funnel, but the constant reminder just drove it home. So if you have a list, go email. And of course, a lot of people like this. I took the screen capture right after you posted, but a lot of other people posted after that and felt really great about it. So what's the scoop? You come Labor Day, can you walk us through the email sequence that you put together and a little bit about what it was about and just the moves that you made to make all this money?
Yeah. Well, I will say one thing, tracking is what started it all, because I started really tracking daily income every day on a spreadsheet. And we had a really good month in July. And I noticed towards the end of August that we were not going to hit those numbers in the last 4 days unless I did something big. So it was, and now emailing was the most obvious thing to do. And since it was Labor Day, I just thought, well, and you guys had a module on emailing. I think you did one probably like a month or so ago. And that really inspired. I mean, of course, I have a list and I've always known about emailing, but sometimes you just need to have it pounded in again. And so listening to that really inspired me. And I had, so like a month or so ago when you put that out, I was like, oh, I'm going to email my list. And I did. And we did probably 1,800 in revenue then. And at that time, I just did like a 1-day email, and then I kept emailing to the people that hadn't opened it, and that worked out well. And so this time, because I wanted to hit a bigger goal, I decided I was just going to keep emailing regardless if they opened it or not. And I wasn't going to be afraid to email, because I definitely am protective of my list and what I send them. And I was like, well, they're on this list for a reason, for information, and we always give out really great information. So I decided to do it 4 days in a row, which I've never, ever done before. And then actually we sent out 6 emails within that period, because on the final 2 days, we sent out 2 emails each of those days. And I just counted the numbers again this morning, so I would have it for you. It ended up doing like exactly 10,000.
Oh, wow. That's great. What a lesson. It really,
Yes.
now, when you went through the email module that we put out, was there anything in particular that stuck out for you as being helpful, or was it more just kind of getting into the energy of things?
It was getting into the energy, because, I've been building a list for 2 years now, so I'm not, total newbie at it, but it was just getting into the energy and reminding me that, you have a list to sell a product or service, which is going to benefit somebody, and not to be afraid to do it. And that really was I just need to be reminded of those things, because like I said, I am protective of my list.
Yeah.
And no, I've learned huge lessons in this too, because like I said in the Facebook post, this discounted offer has been available, at any given time for anybody on my list. They probably just have to dig a little harder to find it.
Yeah.
And watch a webinar. And I was like, wow, look at all the sales I've been missing out on over the
Yeah.
last year from not emailing enough.
That's crazy. I'm really happy to talk for a few minutes about email marketing, because it's really something. Obviously, we've made a big push because OMG is mostly about free traffic, because we really believe that if you're going to build a business, of course you can pay for traffic at some point, and I've paid for traffic. There's no mark of shame with it. But man, when you're building a business, it's so exciting to have free traffic on your side. Of course, SEO is one of the big ways that we do it, but also with building a list, you can email that list, and once it's all set up, you kind of get these exaggerated results, and it's exciting. But I'll tell you, one of the things I've really been trying to help people understand recently is exactly what you're talking about here. Is this not being afraid of mailing your list, and really so much of marketing, so much of what gets taught. I remember talking to my wife not too long ago, a couple months back or a few months back, and she used to be in sales, and at some point she took a sales training. I don't remember the exact details about what she was talking about, but they were definitely, it was a very manipulative sales training, and she really didn't like it, because she's much more just likes to if she's involved in sales or whatever, probably like most people do, is just involved in being excited about the product and just sharing what is awesome about it, or helping people understand whether it's good for them or whether, maybe it's not good for them, and just educating and kind of uplifting people. And the course that she was taking, and I don't know all the details about it, but it was just very much the standard thing that you really wind up seeing a lot of online, which is manipulation, fear, just all this stuff. And then people wonder why they're afraid of their lists. They sell with fear. They say, like, live by the sword, die by the sword. Well, if you live by fear, you're going to die by fear. And if if you live in this fear of your list, you're just going to wind up being afraid of them. And it's just a crappy way to live. And at the same time, instead, it can just be so uplifting and so exciting to just talk to them. I mean, they're real people. And like you said, they obviously, a lot of them wanted what you're offering. They just didn't know about it until you shared some of your energy and, kind of dug into it. And then blammo, you had a lot of success, and obviously they really liked it, or else they wouldn't have responded. Were there some email responses that you got to it? Now, did you run into any negative responses from mailing so many times? Maybe you did.
No, I was actually, we just changed over our database system from Aweber to Entreport, which I don't know as well, so I haven't checked for the unsubscribes, but I was kind of waiting for that, and it's, if somebody's going to write us, because occasionally they do, and say, oh my gosh, you guys emailed too much or whatnot, but no one did. And in fact, people wrote in instead and were like, oh, can you have a payment plan, or can I still get it after this is over when I get paid, or, things like that. But not one person wrote in a negative, like, stop emailing me.
That's fascinating, because obviously the fact that you weren't doing it before, when you say here, I've always been a bit hesitant to over email my list, but then you actually found out that was all in your head. Because
totally.
and how crazy. Yeah.
Don't be afraid of your list. I definitely had list fear. I was like afraid of these people on the other side of my list. And then I would tell myself, oh my gosh, it's my list, that I built for so long. And if they don't like it, then they can unsubscribe.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of the story that, they, with little baby elephants at the circus, what they do is they tie it with a relatively strong rope, and it's a little baby elephant, so it's not very strong. And then it can't break the rope. And then the funny thing is, years later, when the elephant is full size and obviously incredibly strong, then still the same rope will hold it because it's got a learned helplessness. Um, and that same thing can happen to us. I mean, it really happens with list stuff. And now, of course, there are mistakes that you can make. I'm not saying that you can't make mistakes. I'm not saying that you can't burn a list out. But the reality is, and this is where really try to point people to law of implication, because the more you're following along with David Mills' law of implication stuff, the less likely you are to make moves that are really going to spook people or get them upset or kind of confuse them or lead them in wrong directions where they're not going to be as happy. But no matter what, you're just better off. I mean, you're in business. Far better to break a few eggs making the omelet. Now, even better would be to not break the eggs, of course. Metaphorically speaking, of course, there's no way that I know to make an omelet without breaking eggs. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to talk about that for a second because I think it's important. Now, how did you start building your list? What general marketplace are you in? Are you in the kind of a little bit wealth building market, or what market are you in?
No, I'm in the yoga niche.
Oh, no, in yoga. Okay, great. And so, how did you wind up getting into the yoga niche?
Because my business partner is an expert in it, and so we wanted to capitalize on her talents.
How did you and your business partner meet?
She's my sister-in-law.
Oh, okay.
So through my brother.
Okay, great. And how did your business start together?
I asked, she's Japanese and was very famous in Japan for this. And so when she married him and came over here, and I asked her a couple years ago, I said, I always want to do this with you and go online. And at that time, I didn't have the same skills. Obviously my skills have increased. But we waited till the timing was right and started it. And just, she does all the content and the videos and all that kind of stuff. She's the face of the business, if you will. And I do all of the online marketing and the, content or the web stuff. And we started out, and we still are pretty much 100% organic. I mean, I have, played with running some Facebook ads, which actually is going really well, and I'm excited to scale that. But we have good organic rankings, and now with like what I've learned through you guys, I'm starting to push them up, and I'm going to do multiple websites, and so we can really dominate for our niche.
That's wonderful. And
so our list is pretty much organic.
Yeah, and about how big is your list at this point?
I think it's 20,000. Yeah, it's about 20,000.
Wow. And so at this point you're building it all with SEO?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're starting to get into Facebook advertising. So what are some do you have some tips for people like when you first got started building that list? Then did you start with what YouTube videos and a website basically? That's kind of what I would assume.
Yes. Actually, we've got a big YouTube channel now. We've got about 40,000 subscribers.
Oh, that's wonderful. Can I see the channel, or do you want to keep it a little bit private? It's no problem.
I could. Do you want me to put it in? Oh, the
I'd
chat
love
box?
to see it. Yeah, this is exciting for me. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Yes.
This is a really great potential way to for folks to be able to, because I've done the same thing. Me and David Mills built $1 million business, basically with website and YouTube, and just waiting for
I put it in the chat box. Do you want me to put it in the chat box on GoToMeeting? Do you want me to put it in?
Yeah, that'd be great. No, did you put it in the chat box in Skype? It says
no, but I'll put it in chat.
Got it. Okay, great. Let's have a look. Face yoga method. I thought it was fancy for a second there.
No, she's an expert, which is a very specific niche, and it's yoga for your face. It's an anti-aging thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Let's have a look. Oh,
So
she
it's
looks
like an
like
organic.
this is a fun picture of her on the front of it. So
Oh yeah.
let's have a look here. Um, I'm actually going to go oldest to newest because I'm curious how this all progressed.
Mm,
So going
I
back
have
to
never looked at that.
yeah, so going back 2 years ago because I want to kind of walk people through the progression of this business. So it looks like the first couple videos here, the first 5 videos are just her in like looks like an office room or maybe a spare bedroom or her bedroom, and she's just sitting on a webcam and shooting on webcam, and looks like she's just talking about face stuff. She's actually making kind of a little bit funny faces in the sense that her mouth is wide open or so forth. But how to get rid of double chin and so forth. So we've got the first video has 9,500 views. How to put lotion on your face against gravity. And then the second is how to apply facial moisturizer. That's got 33,000 views. Then face yoga method, get rid of a double chin with face yoga. That's 39,000 views. The next one is how to reduce under eye bags quickly, 44,000 views, and so on. So it's just got a wide variety. And I'm seeing one on the next line. Wow, you had one. Then it looks like she switched over to a format where she maybe has a white screen behind her or something like that, and you got it up to
Well,
500,000 views. How did that happen?
um, that's a good question. I haven't even looked at the analytics of that. That one is the one I'm working on ranking for stuff, but I think that was a subject, that cheek fat thing, that people were just very organically interested in.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the funny things, I got to point this out. You can't get lucky if you're doing nothing, right? Like you really
Yeah.
can't. But I really mean that in kind of a substantive way because let's just say for the sake of argument that video was particularly helpful to your business. I somewhat assume it was, although you actually have several videos in the a lot of videos that have tens of thousands of views, and then several videos that are in the 100,000 plus view range. So really quite a lot, quite a lot of. And I'll tell you one thing about your partner. I can tell you that she's not afraid of shooting videos, which is a great thing. It looks like she put out a video just a week ago, and it's got 4,000 views on it already. Um,
Yep.
but to this, speaking out about this 500,000 view video, let's say that you got a little bit lucky with it. Well, if you hadn't gotten started, so no amount of luck would get you to 500,000 views if you don't have a video in the first place.
No, no. And, obviously when we started, we had nothing, just that first video and only a couple people. I can't even, it's funny to think back now. It seems so long ago, but it's not that long ago. I don't even know how many people a day would opt into our list. And I think when we got up to 10 people a day, it's like, oh, that's so great. But now, on average, we'll hit easily between 60 and 100 a day. And now I'm so used to that. It's like, okay, how can I make that more?
Wow, that's wonderful. And this is at this point like absolutely a full-time business for you and her. I imagine it seems like it'd be plenty of money.
Yeah, we're building out a brand around it. The name, we're going into also, I'm excited about what you guys teach on Amazon because we're starting with products on there and doing some private labeling and things like that. So yeah, we're building out multiple channels around it.
Yeah, this is really cool. And again, if you don't kind of get started, and people worry about are there enough niches, but this isn't even in the yoga niche. This is the face yoga niche.
I know.
Like it's like, well, it's a little hard to feel intimidated by the competition out there if somebody can make really like clearly a full-time income with and now I'll say this about partners and partnerships. Obviously, you're willing to work and she's willing to work. What's it been like? Working with your sister-in-law, what have been some of the some of the good things and maybe some of the challenges that you've had to work through?
Well, we're a really good match in the sense that, and I know a lot of people would probably be hesitant to work with family, which we talked about that.
Yeah.
In the sense that, we bring two completely opposite but really well matched skill sets to the table. You know, I'm really good at all the online marketing, and she's great in public, and you're right, she's got amazing presence and amazing video skills, and
also just a willingness to freaking shoot videos. Like I really want to kind of point that out. Like so often just the willingness to get out there and do it, because, you know, if you look at our first videos here, certainly there's a decent degree of confidence and so forth, but you can really, just by the screen stills, you can really see, you know, quite a range as time goes on. Like she's really into it and enjoying it, and just, you know, just video after video after video.
Yeah, she's grown. I mean, she was never uncomfortable in front of the camera, but the first couple ones she did, she was like, well, really? I can just do this like in my house on a webcam?
Oh, so that
And
was
I
the
was like,
first
yeah,
time
you
that
can.
she'd ever shot videos?
For herself. I mean, she's been on, like I said, she's been on many television shows in Japan. So she was used to that, but that she's ever shot them herself, yes. Yeah. And so now she gets really
very
into
different. Yeah, it's very different to be on a TV set and have makeup artists who come up and they do your makeup, and then they set you up just so, and they tell you what to say or ask you questions, and then they roll the camera, and then you're done, and then there's somebody else to edit it. It's something totally different to just be your own one-man gang.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what I mean. But she's definitely transformed over the years. You know, now she bought a better camera. She gets really into her editing and all this kind of stuff, and now she's a whiz at it. But she wasn't at first. You know, it was just like, oh, I can do it on my webcam at home. Okay.
Yeah.
But she was willing, like you said, she was willing. She had no fear of just diving in.
And you sound like a really great partner for her as well. Of course, I'm partial to you. You're an OMGer and so forth. But really, but again, it really matters because you'd already started your business once you joined us. About how long ago did you join us?
In the beginning of this year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like right around New Year's, right? Somewhere in that area. And so you already had an established business at that point, absolutely. But then that goes to show that you're looking to step up your game, like just as your partner is stepping up her game, you're looking to step up your game and figure out, well, you know, now we've got offers, now, you know, we're making some money. How do I step it up? How do I get more traffic? You know, oh, wow, you know, how do we get on Amazon? That's cool. You know, how do we rank our social stuff? You know, we've got these YouTube videos. Maybe how do we rank them on Google? You know, do we have a Facebook page? How do we rank our Facebook page? So you're looking to step up your game. It just sounds like the two of you have a good natural synergy, like, you know, good natural chemistry.
We do, and we're lucky like that. And you know, there's an implicit trust, which is so important between the two of us. And she trusts me on the business side and the marketing side and everything else, and I trust her on the content delivery, and she's going to do what she says. So yes, it works out well.
What are some of the challenges that you've run into?
In terms of, you mean in terms of working with her or just in general?
Both.
With her, I haven't, you know, I have to say it's been pretty smooth sailing. There's not been, you know, sometimes it's just trying to describe to her technical things, and I'm like, oh, forget it, I'll do it.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's good. But that's good to know. You know, sometimes, and that doesn't even have to be a language barrier. That can just be, you know, sometimes you're just better suited to do something. Sometimes, you know, somebody that you're with is better suited to doing it, and it can just be easier. Like for example, it's just the simplest thing. Like David Mills posts all of the content into the Project X and Project J membership areas. But if I don't write him a description about what it's about, then it can just really stifle him. Even though David's a great writer, he's a world-class writer. But it's just a minor thing, and so, you know, so I do that for him. You know, it's, you know, again, kind of a minor thing. Or email subject lines, like David does almost all of our email subject lines. You know, I'll call him up and I'll say, hey, can I get some brilliance on demand here? You know, and you know, and he'll belt it out. What are some of the business challenges that you've run into?
Well, those all come from me, and I have, you know, I'll admit it, I have definitely kind of that bright, shiny object syndrome. And focus has been, I keep, you know, making myself come back to focus, because I see so many branches our business can go out in and so many things I want to do. And you know, we will do them all, but I'm like, I have to finish one thing to completion. and have it working really, really well before I move on to the next thing. And because I definitely have a bad habit of like starting too many things and not being able to complete them. So this has been really good, like doing this whole email thing. And, you know, we do have some good systems in place, but now that I see the power of that, I'm really forcing myself to stay focused on just this first digital, or not this first, but the second digital product that we have that we're selling, and to have that as a really smooth running system. You know, now we're going to integrate automated webinars, you know, scheduled webinars, so that people can, you know, get this offer into our system, and finishing that before I go on to the next thing.
Yeah. Are you already doing webinars with her?
Yeah, we've done webinars, but what we haven't done, you know, we've always offered this special at the end of the webinar, but what we haven't done is integrate. And I realized from this mailing especially, you know, people need deadlines and urgency. And when we set up our, you know, it's like a simulated sort of live webinar, that system where you set it up to take it on a certain day at a certain time, but it's a recording. That's our next integration into this, to start that funnel in the list.
Although in a lot of times you can just, webinars can be a lot like broadcast emails. They can just be so powerful. I mean, you can have certainly an autoresponder sequence, and I'm just, you know, I'm just talking to you because I think this is valuable information for you to have about email marketing, and of course I want other people to hear it as well. We've gone so far with, of course, we've thought of doing automated webinars, and we've thought of doing, you know, elaborate autoresponders, but we just come back to broadcast as being so powerful, because you really get to keep people in step with what you're doing and just be in the flow. Like there's just something, it's almost like the difference between a whole fresh food and kind of a canned food, because you really can just get so much of an engagement with your list by doing ongoing webinars. So just kind of keep that in mind, that, you know, you could even do sort of a monthly or even bi-weekly webinar, even together, you know, with people on your list. And another thing is that you can always open and close offers based on natural scarcity. One of the biggest things that we try to talk to folks about, especially with law of implication and so forth, is natural scarcity. Because the point is, there's plenty of scarcity in the world as it is. For example, if you have a program that has a little bit of customer service involved with it, then it's pretty understandable for you to open it and close it a little bit periodically, because, you know, you have a new class, a new group of people. We do this with OMG, and it has nothing to do with, we don't open and close OMG based on some kind of trumped up scarcity. It's just a matter of, you know, we'll have a new group of people come in, and as you know, we really want to focus in on those people, and, you know, just kind of tune out the noise ourselves and just zero in and help those people have success. And doing that kind of natural opening and closing periodically can just be, it can really, really be powerful for your business. So I'd like you to kind of keep that in mind, because I think that that's something that might actually be able to help you take your business to the next level.
No, I will. I mean, it's interesting what you say though, and I think each niche is obviously so different, because we do live webinars, and she does a Q&A, a live one just for the members, which is part of the incentive for them to join, so they can ask the questions. But what we found when we do live webinars to sell, you know, the show up rate's obviously, you know, significantly lower than the sign up rate, just time zones and whatnot, but we sell less than we do in an email replay of the webinar, far less. And I've just found that to be true consistently for us. So that's why I was like, gosh, if we just had, you know, this replay running.
Weirdly, we're the same way with OMG, just so you know. Like, OMG sells far better on the replays of the live webinar than on the live webinar, but that's mostly a matter of the scarcity, right? Because one of the things that we don't usually have webinars that line up with the closing of a product, because we don't want people really to be penalized. They're already kind of missing out if they're missing the live webinar in the first place, because they're watching the replay and then they can't ask live questions, and they're also not necessarily part of the mojo of the moment. So really, making sales by replay is quite a wonderful thing. And I know it's counterintuitive. Don't get me wrong. Like, I want you to benefit from this, because again, we just know a lot about marketing that I think a lot of other people don't know, because me and David Mills just haven't spoken out about it too much outside of what we're starting to do with OMG. So I just, kind of wanted to put that out there for you, is that really I think that if anything's missing would be a natural opening and a natural closing of things surrounding, like taking in a new group of people. Like, for example, you might wind up being open on average 2 weeks a month and closed on average about 2 weeks a month. And that can work pretty nicely, pretty naturally.
Huh. No, that's interesting. No, I could definitely test with that. I've never thought about that because I always thought I wanted evergreen, but I like your idea of 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Well, yeah, because again, it's just a little bit more organic, like it's the kind of thing where it also lets you kind of catch your breath for a second and not, I'll tell you one of the things I've learned from David Mills is that marketing mode and teaching mode are really different. And if you're always marketing, then people who are learning are missing out. And of course, if you're always teaching, you're not going to make any money, right? So, so really having this kind of natural opening, and this, it's been really nice speaking to you about this because I wouldn't have really had the opportunity to speak out about this. You've probably followed along a little bit, at least, with me talking to Mike Swanson about how we, helped him evolve his email marketing. Have you caught any of that yet?
I think a little. He's in the stock market niche.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got Mike doing this where he's periodically opening and closing, but it's really based on kind of a fulfillment cycle, like a product fulfillment cycle, and then that can be just really powerful. Now you're acquiring so many leads right now. Can I ask you, what are your lead squeeze pages look like? Like, for example, is a lot of it driving people just to fancyyogamethod.com, and then this is your squeeze page right here where they click here for the free yoga book, and then they get an email and first name sign up?
Yeah, that's, there's that. And then it's pretty much that site. And then there's, if you, on every page and like the about page and all that, we've got opt-ins that do, I think the about page does pretty well, actually. And then there's the footer, there's an opt-in, and that does well.
Yeah.
That's the main one. And then occasionally I will run out, and this is where I really, I need to do more of this. We just remodeled our website, so I was very focused on that. But now one of the things, we have this thing, she does a mini facelift that we give away for free. So I'm going to start running a lot more of that and putting that on Facebook. And when I do that, it works great. It really works great just to get this free video.
So it's like a bit of a contest?
No, it's not even a contest. It's just if they want to get access, we'll say sign up here for the 5-minute facelift, which is just like a little 5-minute video.
And when you say 2 years, I'm going back to 2013 on your site, and it's really only pulling up data starting in April of 2013.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you guys must be pretty new. Anyways.
Yeah, I think really, it's not showing anything for 2012?
Yeah, maybe they just didn't archive anything. It's a little bit unusual, but anyways, I'm looking at now. This is your previous page. Can you see my screen currently?
Yeah, I can. Oh, yeah.
Now this obviously performed very well for you because this is how you built most of your opt-ins was with this page. Is that roughly correct?
Yeah, there were some modifications, but yes, that's how it looked for a long time.
I find this extremely valuable because folks can look at this and see that this worked, right? Which is great to know. And all I did was I typed in Wayback Machine into Google. I went to the site. Maria, this is so valuable, right? Like if you see it through somebody else's eyes, it's just so valuable to see this. I want to click in on a later date and see a little bit the evolution of the website. So I clicked into a later date in 2013. Looks like almost exactly the same here. Oh, but here you're including kind of a gray screen pop-up. Get a free face yoga ebook right here. So that's popping up.
Oh yeah, it was like a pop-up domination thing. Yeah.
Okay. Now let me go early into 2014 and see what the site looks like. This is just I'm pretty curious about this stuff. And how did that pop-up work for you? Not that well, I guess, because it looks like you got rid of it.
Well, you know what? You're making me think of something. No, I'm like, I have to say, I feel like, there's so many things for me to do that is not one. I was so, focused on this migration and remodeling the site that we've done for the last month that I haven't even paid attention that we got rid of that pop-up. And I haven't checked those stats. So you bring up a very good point.
Yeah, just worthwhile for you to look at it. But really, what we're seeing is at the end of the day, obviously, if your opt-in rates had just dropped off the cliff, you would have known it. So probably your opt-in rates are about the same. So it's worthwhile to notice that basically, if you go on a quest to get the opt-in and you make it clear to people what's going on, they're going to opt in. Like, here's my point. This is a valuable lesson on conversion, website conversion, is it's working or it's not. And people really get so lost in these minutiae and these details about like, oh, I split tested this headline against this headline and blah, blah, blah. I can't listen to that stuff. It bores me to tears. Because what David Mills and I look for is gangbuster success or total failure. That's what interests us. And we want to know what's going to give us gangbuster success. And you're getting gangbuster success off this. You're getting 60 to 100 very valuable opt-ins every single day. That's gangbuster success.
I'm so glad you just said that, Mike. And I just heard you guys say that somewhere about, getting so wrapped up in split testing
that was David
the
Mills.
headlines. Because I used to get so wrapped up in this, and I'm like, oh, I can't do all this. I don't have time for all this. And you're right. And, I've definitely changed my mindset. I just need to focus on what's working and do more of that.
Yeah, one of the things is, like you were talking about shiny objects, is it's a lot like drama. It has a way of really filling you up inside, and it's crippling because you get filled up with the feeling that you're getting something done, but then you're getting nothing done. Right? Yeah. Like nothing appreciable. Like it wasn't. We've looked at this opt-in situation pretty carefully with you over the last few minutes, and one of the things that you never said to me was it was a miserable failure, and then I changed the headline, and then it's a huge success. So really, what's going on is you went from you basically had a real dedicated focus to getting the opt-in, and you've gotten the opt-in, right? And so now the real question is, how do I get more traffic to it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no, the opt-ins were there from day one. And, I just, like I said, at the beginning, there were hardly any, but we just kept going. And now, I feel confident that in raising the SEO of this with, both our videos and our website and doing another website, that I can easily get this up to several hundred opt-ins a day.
Yeah, I mean, please, because otherwise you're just going to starve with what you're doing right now.
Exactly.
No, but I really do want you to up your game. I believe that this could be like quite a successful business. I definitely believe this could be a 7-figure business per year.
I do too. Thank you.
Yeah. Maria, I love this. I really appreciate your valuable time. I've got Anik is actually pounding on my door, so
I saw that.
I've got to get a hold of him. But I also don't feel like we left any stone unturned with this. This was really valuable for me. I want to thank you, and thank you for this uplifting earnings report. I say it again and again, but I don't mind saying it again. OMG is a city on a hill. It's a place where friends come together in Providence, and our members are so often not just grateful when they're successful, but so generous. And today you've really opened up to us. You've opened up your business. You've been very candid with us, very personal with us, and I'm just very grateful to you for that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am so grateful to you guys. I mean, I have gotten some invaluable help, in particular from one person in there that I think I wrote about, that just
who was that?
That was from Kumar.
Oh, from Kumar. Oh, yeah, with the you got whacked with a penalty, right?
Well, no, we did not, but some bot attacked our site.
Yeah, this is Kumar Setia. Yeah, and he helped you disavow. I remember that.
He did, and that was a very scary thing for me. It's still going on, but so far so good with us. And I felt like, wow, I'm in the hands of an expert now, someone that really knows what they're doing. And I would have never had access to him had it not been for your group. So I'm so grateful for that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, much more to come. Well, Maria, thank you so much. I appreciate your valuable time, and I look forward to seeing you inside of the Facebook group.
All right. Thank you.
All right. God bless you. Have a good Sunday.
You too.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.